Hello, hello, guys.
Hey. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm banning. No. That was fast. I had to be fast. Hmm. I mean, I still want to play Cerberus, so I don't want to deal with some things like Bracken.
Select your god.
I want to get some more Cerberus in. Oh shit. I lost my bearings. Man, they have half a shit comp for me to deal with and half a good one. Like Hades, Ra, pretty good for me to deal with. A Wheelix on her, not as much. it's Nico that are Wheelix. I gotta be careful this game. I'm just hoping he's not solo, I guess. But he could be. Who is solo? He is solo. Oh my god. Do I need beats this game? I legitimately might need beats this game. I'm just gonna do it, because I... Yeah, I'm debating it as well, if the beats are even worth it. It's just... I don't think I have the lane clear either. And if I don't have beats, he can't just jump me. That's my main worry. I'll try Sans as well this game. Actually, I won't. I like Conduit too much. Let's do this. I still haven't... I only tried Cerberus once. I still haven't figured out what I actually want to build on him. I also don't know if it's worth starting with the one. The one so far in the one game I tried just feels like it doesn't do a whole lot of damage. Well, it still should do decent at level 1. But no, I'm starting with 2. It's definitely a matchup I don't want to fight early on for sure. Don't think I want to fight at all until I finish something like Mystical Mail.
Be careful left. Enemy missile. Your middle tower is under attack.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no rocks for me early. Whoops. Forgot my passive. Yeah, I'm leveling my 2. For sure. The 1 just doesn't feel good. The one thing that does lack on the 2 though is just impact. It's a bit weird how the it's like the 2 feels like it lacks like a sound effect almost. It just feels like it's just, I don't know. There's something off about it. It doesn't feel as nice as the Smite one. It's a very nice start. And he doesn't have beats, so...
Completed. Help! Follow me.
I do think Conduit is probably what feels best on him early on, but Conduit obviously lacks the general issue at the moment. It's just worse than Sans, and has less power going into late game. But it just almost feels like you can't fight anything at all if you don't have Conduit early. I'm still debating it, so I'm not sure. I suppose you could also do something like Bluestone, but then you're just gonna do way less damage, I would imagine. Now I just need to be a bit careful. Gotta go back and finish Mystical.
No problem. Your middle tower is under attack.
I almost kind of want him to ult me there. Because I don't think he could kill me. Or just used it for nothing. At least the jungler was around. When did Serp come out? He came out yesterday? Hey Sav, what's up, man? I only played Cerberus once, and that was in my game yesterday against you, Sav. It's the only time I actually played him. I only played 2 games yesterday.
Be right back.
Didn't have time for more. So I want to play him a bit more today, get a feel for him. I do have a general sense of the issues on him. I want to see if I can still kind of just enjoy him anyway. Because he doesn't seem bad, he's just so mediocre.
Your left tower is under attack. Killing spree.
Dude, where are these rocks, man? Who is eating them the second they spawn? Who is it? Dude, that just does no damage. I know it's only rank 2, but still, that's crazy. Where's the damage? Oh, I see who it is. It's my jungler who's yoinking all of it. I mean, he doesn't have Sunder either way. Like, there's no reason why I shouldn't get this. I'm waiting for some cooldowns.
An enemy has been slain.
I mean, that was just bad by me. I should have died before. I'm glad Mystical Milk can carry me, but... Thank you, Jordan. It's nice to have someone else here who can also ban them, so I don't have to tap out, do it myself.
1.8k gold.
Toward the gold fury. Careful middle. Enemy missing left. Be careful middle.
Killing spree.
Close.
I'm impressed.
I want to try this. And I'm gonna do this game because they also have Hades and Ra. And I'm fed, so I think I can allow myself to do this. I used to do this in Smite 1. I loved putting a Divine Ruin on my Cerberus. But I do think going full tank is generally just better in Smite 2. But I do want to see how this feels.
Enemy missing middle. Enemy missing middle. Enemy missing middle. Enemy missing middle. An enemy has been slain. Attack the gold fury.
Ultimate is ready.
An enemy has been slain. Your team has destroyed the gold fury. Your middle tower is under attack.
The one is definitely easier to hit in terms of the stun. It just doesn't do a whole lot of damage. How did that miss?
An ally has been slain. Rampage.
You're the life of the party.
The Pyromancer has arrived. I'm impressed. Whoops.
Someone's rock maxing real hard. I think it is my jungler. I'm not really keeping a full eye on it, but fair enough. I like it on Cerberus, but no, my breath. Damn it.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Enemy missing left.
I kind of want their jungler to show up. Because I'm so far ahead, I think I can take them. See if I can push for the tower. Lay up a bit.
Let's do Naga. Naga.
Enemies have returned to base.
Attack fire on my way.
Enemy missing left. Be careful middle. I'll attack left lane.
Your team has destroyed the Pyromancer.
Is blue still up? Yes.
Retreat.
Your left tower is under attack. An ally
I am actually gonna rotate.
Ultimate down.
On my way.
on my way, on my way.
I'm TPing to left, I'm TPing to left.
Has been slain.
No, man.
That's a problem. An ally has been slain.
On my way.
Fucking, they're so stupid. I hate the tornadoes. I should not be alive right now. I just laser backed for no reason.
An enemy.
It's so stupid.
Awesome.
I'll do Madlock Discord.
Your left tower is under attack. Okay.
The tornadoes, well, wasn't it usually in solo? I don't know. I didn't play much yesterday, but I thought it was always there.
An enemy has been slain.
Rocks. Yes. Is red up too? I'll be icing on. No, it's not.
Fate is sealed.
I think the one does all right damage, but I'm also building damage, so I don't know. Maybe that's the reason why. It definitely doesn't do as much as the Dispel one, even though the numbers say that it's about the same.
Your left tower is under attack.
Defend, no problem.
Killing spree.
Sav, if you're still here, what is your consensus on Cerberus? What do you think?
The Pyromancer has arrived.
And everyone else's, I suppose. Curious what the general people think.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Well. No, the NATO!
Defend the gold fury.
An ally has been slain. Your middle
the
tower
gold
is under attack.
On my way. Gank middle lane.
Your left tower is under attack. Your left tower.
You get him, Mr. Vulcan.
An enemy has been slain.
On my way.
Might lose my tower for this, but... Can we do something here?
On my way.
Your
Enemies
right
are fire
tower
giant.
is under attack. An enemy has been slain. Your team has destroyed the Pyromancer. Your team has destroyed a middle enemy tower. Your right tower is under attack. Attack the gold fury.
No! Wait, we jump there.
An enemy has been slain.
Just worse, so big. Okay. Yeah, I think the only big advantage he has is against like heavy healing comps. Against those two guns. But I agree with you, I do think Sopik and Cap are just better. I do think... I am not a huge fan of Sopik solo. In the current meta, at least. I feel like even Cerberus would honestly be better than that. In support, that's definitely not the case. I think he's broken in support. I just think he's kind of a weird solo, because his cooldowns are so long. I think even Cerberus has lower cooldowns than him. And arguably more useful laning phase.
On my way.
On my way.
Your powers are mine.
An enemy has been slain. Killing spree.
Oh, you can still miss... just... okay. Wait, so you can... like, Sopik 2 the Cerberus ultimate? Shit like that? So it's just kind of like an Ares ult, but... kind of worse. I'll back here.
Enemies in left lane.
Oh, we're the same as my one? Okay. I guess it's worth trying the aspect eventually today. See how that feels. Just gonna leave me in. I'll save my TP.
An enemy has been slain.
Defend the fire.
The pyromancer has arrived.
Bad jump.
Chase the enemy.
An enemy has been slain. Destroyed a middle enemy. Your right tower is under attack.
Alright, fuck it. We're not taking this one. Never mind, team. As you wish.
Your team has destroyed the pyromancer.
I want to get enough of my starter here. How's Herb feeling? He's feeling... alright, at best.
Okay. Your left tower.
In terms of how he feels to play, I think he feels fine. The only complaint I really have about the the way he feels is the 2. Like, maybe he just feels like it lacks impact. Like, I have more impact in Smite 1. But that's like a minor complaint. I think he feels good to play, but in terms of how good he is, he's definitely worse than something like Cabrakan and Sobek. But I do think he is playable.
Killing spree.
He's not bad, I would say.
Attack fire. Thanks.
He is oddly, I don't know, just mediocre. I think he's in the same vein as someone like Kepri. He can be really useful, but he's also very easy to counter in terms of his ultimate. I have to secure for this. Damn, with 2 bombs.
Your left tower is under attack. Your left tower has been destroyed.
Enemies in the left jungle.
Okay. Defend the Gold Fury.
Yeah, I think he's oddly mediocre to... I mean, he might be bad. It could just be because tank items are really powerful that I feel I am powerful in solo.
The right enemy tower.
As support, I can see him be way less effective. and very easy to kill. Like I could definitely see the viewpoint of him just being easy to kill.
Help! Thanks.
Your team has destroyed the Gold Fury. On my way.
I feel like that's always kind of been the case, though. I think Cerberus is one of the easier tanks to kill. He's got a slow jump. Not a whole lot of mobility in this kit. Usually the big thing on him was that he has so much damage, though, that he could turn on you. I don't feel like that's the case as much in Smite 2. That's mainly because of the 1. I would even argue that 2 does less damage as Smite 1, but I don't think it's bad, though.
The Pyromancer has arrived.
And in this game, like, barely anyone has beats. Like, 3 of them don't have beats, and they don't have CC mutes in their kits. Except for Onher. He has Aegis, but that's about it. 2 of them will just get ulted if I ult them. Ow.
Your team has destroyed a middle an enemy has
They just all died. I'm not even sure fully how.
good game.
We play each other next week. I have no idea who we are against next, but could be. Well, if you say so, I imagine that's the case. I haven't been told, at least. I'm not keeping up on all that stuff. Oh. I also need to buy all the new marketing stuff. Oh yeah, I don't have enough coins. I ran out of coins. Next week after? Okay. Yeah, we'll play when we play. All I know is the first 3 teams we've met so far have been the some of the hardest teams in the entire thing. We have not had like a quote-unquote easy matchup yet. It's been fucking rough. But we did manage to win the last one at least. Go away, man. I'm banning. I'll ban Afro. It's hard, man. I hate being second pick right now. Because Gabrakan, Sobek, Afro, Aladdin, potentially. It's just too much stuff to ban. I really don't want to do Gabrakan. Go Kolkin.
Select your god.
Go Kolkin, eh? I want to play Zeus. I haven't done Zeus solo in a while. And now that Shifters has actually been buffed, this could be huge. Oh, okay, I actually know this. The fires heal my health. It's good to know. The dog wants to go into the window. He's asking me very nicely, staring at me. But I need to lift him up, it's pretty high up. And I can't supervise it as well when I am streaming. So it's a bad idea. 9, 12, 9. I always hate saying no to him. His big dog eyes judging me. Telling me how horrible of a human being I am. How could you not let me go into the window? Alright. Who and what am I against? I'm definitely thinking beats. Absolutely beats.
Can I use my drink ticket on this?
And okay. A lot of the same people from last game.
Please.
Make some noise!
I do need to be very careful. I can't deal with the Relix early on. On top of that, there's a Mordred in my lane, which might be hard enough.
Minions have spawned.
Though I should be fine against him early. Only when he gets tanky is he going to be a problem for me. Overall, they have a really hard comp for me to deal with as Zeus, I think. Even in terms of ADCs and mages, like Kukulkan and Sol are not one of the easy ones.
Peace! See ya!
See how much I'm allowed to rock max this game.
Defend.
I still don't get the spawning on them. Sometimes they spawn exactly at 120.
First blood. Attack! What the hell?
Oh, that's too bad.
Huge.
Good game. No problem.
Huge.
Sick. An ally has been slain. Your left tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
No, 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 no. Don't do this. I missed too many autos. That could have been bad. Rotating for a huge double kill basically and then dying straight after going into lane. That would have been stupid.
Your right tower is under attack.
Oh my god.
Enemies in left.
Dude. There's no way I just got ganked by the support.
Oh, that's too bad.
They might have pinged it, so I can't fully blame them for that. I didn't realize it if they did. Because that shit never happens.
An enemy has been slain.
Damn it, I almost had the Mordred too.
You're at that. Your left tower is under attack.
Oh well.
Enemy missing.
Enemy missing left.
Just bad beats.
Enemies in the left jungle.
Dude, okay. I see that I'm gonna have some issues with a Ymir this game.
Okay.
Enemies incoming.
Okay.
On my way. Killing completed.
Or maybe not. Maybe he's gonna give us some snacks.
Sick. Oh no.
Please.
Yeah, that's bad. And it didn't bounce! No, man. That actually could have been good if it bounced. Shit.
Defend middle lane.
I should have stayed back until I could finish my Braggies first.
Defend middle lane.
I'm also trying to fight him a bit too much, considering how early it is.
Your left tower.
It was too early. After Braggies, I think is fine. But right now his base damage is too high for me to really box him. If he is able to just get on top of me. Oh, we're stuttering.
Defend middle lane.
Enemies in the left jungle. An enemy has been
Dude, whatever is happening in duo is so funny. I'm not sure any of them realize who is who. Like who's the support and who's the Dude, what is this stuttering? Stop.
has been slain. Rampage.
I don't think they know who's ADC and who's support in this game.
Enemy ultimate incoming.
We're gonna have a really bad team comp. What I think about it.
Has been slain. My beat.
Didn't realize he rotated. Weird. I'll just take tower then.
Retreat.
The enemy team has destroyed the gold fury.
Early tower, at least over here, is good.
Enemy spot. Your middle tower is under attack. Ultimate is down.
Defend middle lane.
Yes.
On my way.
Your middle tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain. Completed.
Whoops.
Be right back.
Be right back.
I don't actually want to back yet.
Cancel that.
My blades hunt. An enemy has been slain.
Dude, there's no way that actually just happened.
Blow from the heart of the silver moon.
Damn, that level difference. And he leveled up as well during the creep killing. I'm a little salty about that. I even hit so many autos.
Be careful, middle.
That really sucks.
Enemies in the
Because I'm not really sure I could have played that scenario any better than I did.
Enemy missing left. Enemy missing left. Cancel that.
Enemy missing.
And now he's got a huge XP lead.
Has been slain. Enemy ultimate enemies incoming right. An ally has been slain.
Enjoy the journey ahead. Enemy missing. Be careful left.
Okay.
That sucks, man.
Set up an ambush. Your right tower is under attack. Attack! Your left tower is under attack.
Oh, Agnes is blind, I guess. He was just backing mid lane.
What the hell?
It's unfortunate.
Defend middle lane.
I wouldn't have beat the Mordred ult if I saw that the other two were there
Your
in time.
middle tower is under attack.
I would have saved it for the freeze.
Pirate has arrived.
I mean, I probably would have died no matter what, really fast. But still.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Enemies in the middle lane.
An ally has been slain. Enemy ultimate down. Your middle tower is
That just sucks, man. I hate a Wheelix Zeus because there's so many ways. Just yeah, just be annoying. Dude, they're really just running around because we don't have a support rotating. Dude, we don't. Our dual lane don't know who's playing support. We're just getting out-rotated and Ymir doing whatever the fuck he wants.
Your middle tower is under attack. The enemy team has destroyed the pyramid. Your left tower is under attack.
That's because we have Hades ADC and Cupid decided that he was gonna ADC instead. And now they're both ADC. But one of them is playing Hades.
Your left tower is under attack.
Ranked at its best. I'm so far behind now.
Been slain.
It sucks because I really could have fought. I was able to fight. Now I'm just cooked.
Enemies at the fire giant.
Enemy missile right. Killing spree. Cancel that. The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury. On my way. Your right tower is under attack. An ally has been slain. Shut down. Domination. Shut down. Bring with you upon. Your middle tower is under attack. Shut down. Your right tower is under attack.
That was huge. Very nice for me. I'm back, boys.
Your middle tower is under attack. An ally has been slain.
The silver moon. Please.
Enemies in left lane.
I can't rotate anywhere.
Enemies incoming right.
When Ymir's just sitting here.
Retreat.
Yes.
He's in mid now though, should be good.
The pyro. An enemy has been slain. Your middle tower is under aim. Killing spree.
Should have won that trade way before. Just lost way too much fucking oh, missed too many autos.
Missing middle.
Big question here is, do I just do Pharaoh's Curse? Probably. And then Shifters? Very late Shifters. What I kinda liked it earlier. This could be big.
Ally has been slain. Attack. You have slain an enemy. Double kill. Rampage. Attack.
Yes.
Help.
Goddamn thing. Fucking hell, man. He's too fast. I need Pharaoh's Curse, actually. Oh.
Yes. Your left tower is under attack. Ultimate is down.
No, I wanted to jump. I'm just covering way too much ground because of the fucking tornadoes and Zeus. It's so stupid. They've been so useful to me this game.
Enemies behind us, behind us. Destroyed a middle enemy tower.
Attack the Gold Fury!
Freestyle it.
Damn, I'm just kind of sorry I didn't get the Wheelix.
Your team has destroyed the Gold Fury. The Pyro has arrived.
Can I sell these? I can. It's fine. No one needs to know. I sold one of them. Perfect.
On my way! Group up!
Your left tower is under attack. Missing left. An enemy has been slain.
On my way.
On my way. An ally has been slain. On my way.
Please, group up! Group up!
Shut it. Yes. Enemies
I don't want to take the blame for that one. We just shouldn't fight yet. We gotta make sure that our lanes are still pushed.
Bye. Be right back.
attack. Slay an enemy.
I'll attack middle lane!
She beached.
Retreat.
Yes.
Still worth it for the Phoenix.
Ultimate is down.
Burn more than once.
An enemy has been slain.
Down.
I thought she beats before. Was that a team beats then? Oh no, probably Magi's actually that popped. Damn. My team just left. Are we that scared of Mordred? Hmm. That sucks. I think we just kill him if he goes in, especially if he was just alone versus my whole team. We have 2 ADCs for God's sake. We have both Hades and and Cupid. Hit him with autos. He dies. Thank you for your Cerb build for yesterday. That's nice. I assume you mean support specifically.
Enemy spotted.
I think I found a build that I kind of enjoy as well. I just need to try it into, I guess, an actual, like, top solo. Not so much the player, but more the gods. Like, I want to see how it does into, you know, Cabrakan or, I don't know, Mordred or whatever. I actually think, unironically, Cerberus might be decent into Mordred. Just because at least he can get a lot out of the healing that Mordred does. I still think Mordred should shit on him, though. Just because of his sheer damage difference. I'm worried, boys. This is not looking great.
The enemy
Yep,
team
I fucking
has
knew it.
destroyed the fire. An ally has been slain. Your right tower is under attack. Double kill.
I'm so dead. There it is.
Oh, that's too bad.
Your right tower is under attack.
That's unfortunate, man. I feel like we're kind of just through with that fire giant call. Like, why are we doing fire? Mordred's just looking at people. Like, we don't have a Sunder. He has Sunder. It doesn't make any sense. At least we did get Dagger, but that just seems so unnecessary.
Tower has been destroyed.
Dude, this Hades ADC, I'm pretty sure. I haven't seen it do anything this game.
Your left tower is under attack.
Single tree set
Granted, it's what I would expect from a Hades ADC, but still.
Enemies of the Gold Fury.
The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
Let's get a Warhorn before the army shows up. I need more attack speed. More. Even more.
Group up.
If we had an actual support, an actual tank this game, I think we kind of win the fight so easily. But we just don't have anyone who's able to go in and tank that damage. Which does make this pretty hard.
Completed. Be careful middle. Enemies in the middle.
Killing it. The enemy team has destroyed the Pyromancer. Your left tower is under attack.
We actually just don't have any initiate on in our team comp. They need to be out of position, or we need to counter initiate.
Fuel for the fire.
Completed.
Your left tower is under attack. Your left tower has been destroyed.
Group up.
How much do I need for this? I need way too much. Finishing Xe would be so big for me, because Mordred or Ymir is just always on me. If I could take them out fast, that would help. Kinda need Xe for that. Or at least it would help.
Attack left tower.
Your right Phoenix is under
Too
attack.
bad.
Dude, that's so nasty.
Your right Phoenix has been destroyed.
I still hate that that's just a thing that's possible to do. It makes no sense to me.
Enemy ultimate down. Be right back.
Enemies at the fire giant. Return to base. Enemies at the fire giant.
On my way. Ultimate is down.
We gotta get in there, boys.
Enemies at the fire giant.
What's the HP at?
It rips you apart. Destroyed the fire giant.
That shit just persists.
Behind us. An ally has been slain.
That sucks.
Shut down.
Oh, it's my dude doing blue buff. He's trying to heal, it ain't helping.
The pilot machine has arrived. It rips you apart. An ally has been slain. Double kill. Deicide.
Hello, Pictus.
No problem at all.
No, I haven't been scrimming much. Just some days I haven't been in the mood to stream, but I've still been streaming about every other day or so. It's just maybe been a bit earlier.
Your middle Phoenix is under attack. An enemy. Your middle Phoenix is under attack. Slain an enemy.
Smolder's just way too hard to
Enemy
kill.
team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
But oh boy, is it going to help when I get Xe. That's good though. My team got 2 kills there. Well done.
Be careful. Enemies have returned to base.
I can breathe.
No, Sol, she peeked.
What the hell?
Did she even use anything? I'm not even sure. That sucks though. I did so much damage here, I got greedy. At least we had something though.
Enemies at the fire giant.
Probably forgot to buy X. No, no, no. I got it. I'll get 1 sentry. I want to get a 3k pot as fast as I can though. It is funny, since I finished XC, I haven't had a tank go on me since. Granted, I don't really mind that. Oh, huge.
Your team has destroyed the Pyramid.
But I definitely do damage to the tanks now, at least Modred. He died pretty fast. With help from Cupid, obviously. And like double Kin's braggies on someone will obviously screw them up real fast. Oh no, 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 no,
An
no.
ally has been slain. On my way. Enemy ultimate down.
Oh, that's too bad.
I think we should just attack though, right? We win these fights very easily, legitimately. Motor is the main thing. Dude, that's not even gonna kill. Just get out, Cupid. You're fine. Agni's gonna get cooked by Motor though. Or not. Come be the tree. I'm trying to somewhat frontline a bit here for my team as well, because we just don't have anyone else to really go in.
A single tree set aflame can cause an entire forest to burn. Come be that tree.
We got Phoenix though, so that's good.
A match. I burn more than one.
Yes. Group up. Attack the fire giant.
Yes. Enemy ultimate incoming.
Enemies in the right jungle.
Attack the fire giant.
It's a huge mid wave we need to take care of though. Don't fucking fight, I beg you.
Cancel that. Behind us. Retreat.
An enemy has been slain. Solid beats, yo. An enemy has been slain.
Attack the Titan.
Yes. I got this. Attack right lane.
Yo, attack that Phoenix, boys. Get the Phoenix.
An ally has been slain.
We got something. We can't fucking stay around now.
Double kill. I'm the greatest.
An enemy has been slain.
Too bad.
No problem.
You have been slain.
I didn't even see her. Didn't even see her. I think I could have counterplayed a bit if I knew she was there.
Oh, that's too bad.
We could have ended, I think, if people were just more patient than went right.
Yes.
The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
Follow my trail.
Yes.
Please, please.
Ward the fire giant. Yeah.
Yes.
Now that we have two, like, now is the best time to go fire, because they need to defend right at the moment, because the Phoenix is coming up. There's one more fire wave coming. I want to end this game before we go too late, because I am starting to not be tanky anymore. And then I'm just the Zeus that does less damage. I don't like the thought of it.
Enemy spotted.
Oh, that's too bad.
Attack the fire giant.
Yes. Enemies have returned to base.
Your middle phoenix is under attack. Your middle phoenix has been destroyed.
Just secure this if we can.
Your right phoenix is under attack. Your team has destroyed the fire. An ally has been slain. Unstoppable. Slain an enemy.
Be right back.
Attack the Titan.
On my way.
We need to just go for the end. Oh, unless we can get the Ymir, that would be huge.
An enemy has been slain.
Once again, not having a tank for a siege is gonna be real tough.
On my way.
Dang mix, bro.
No problem at all.
Bit of an awkward game overall, but it worked out. Yeah, you could check into Pectus. Know what date time the tournament is? Which tournament are you referring to? If you mean the tournament I'm currently a part of, it's not so much of I don't even know what to call it. It's like it's not really being streamed. Or the one you're playing? Yeah, I don't think it's being streamed. It's just kind of like tournament matches every week. Like planned whenever it fits both teams. So I don't think it is being watched. Like, it's only really being streamed by whoever is playing, potentially. I usually don't stream it, but maybe one of my enemies are streaming. Like last week, I believe someone was streaming it. Like, from their perspective. But I usually don't. I tend to... I feel like I play better off-stream. Because I'm just not focused on as many things. Like, fully just focused on the game. There's too many fucking shops on this path. Ooh, max health. I'll take it. It's called SNL though, in case you were wondering. I think it's Smite Night something? Smite Night League? Something like that maybe? I actually completely forgot. Like, I'm so out of the loop in general when it comes to competitive Smite. If a team asks me to join, I'll probably just generally look at the roster real fast. And then think, is this really worth my time? And then I'll, you know, if it is, then yeah, I'll probably just join, but I still don't know anything about what I'm playing. Oh shit, this is not the path. Oh, it's too many fucking rocks. So like, I don't generally know who I'm even playing against until the match day, basically. But it's also not much of a serious tournament. Like, it's like, I think the prize is basically just gems or something like that, or diamonds. Which is nice and all, but you know, it's nothing serious. It's not actual money. I don't know if finals, potentially, or whatever. I don't know what the progression of the tournament is going to be. So I'm not too sure how maybe the like later parts of it is going to be streamed. I'm not sure. But if it is, I will let you know on stream. If I even find out. I'll grab some sparks. Could have taken the multiplier, but I feel like I'm probably gonna die soon. In game, of course. What's happening with this queue? Just waiting for players. Oh, there we go. I see, someone is connecting. Achilles. Weird. But okay. Thor. Okay.
Select your god.
I'll do a Bowery game. Sure. My Bowery is probably not the best, though. She's not a god I played a whole lot. But she's not hard to play, I would say. I think she's pretty simple. I played her enough to get an understanding of her. Probably just gonna be a bit rusty in the first few minutes. Like, how Passive. I mean, these have cooldowns. How do I even use them? Triggered. Passive, passive. Yeah, he dodged anyway. Unfortunate. No, I did not mean to do that. Go back! My NPC quest! I don't know what it does, but I want to skip it. Yeah, I mean, if you really want me to like to watch me compete as well, it might not be as interesting. But I obviously played a bunch of tournaments in the past. Feel free to go back and watch those. But yeah, recently not as much. Like I've been pretty chill with my Smite 2 career so far. I haven't really been as interested in competitive in general. I haven't played the game as much either. And I'm not sure I really will. While I really do enjoy Smite 2, I don't know if I want to give it as much time as I used to do with Smite 1, because that shit just took over my life. And I treasure the time that I used to get as far as I did in Smite 1. But I enjoy too many other things nowadays in my life to just give it all to Smite. You have watched those, fair enough. Did you go back and watch those recently? Or did you watch them back in the day? Wait, what is this? What is this and how do I deal damage to you? I see. Cool. Dude, what an awesome idea. Like, they do such a good job with bosses in this game. For what just for how the game works. It's so cool. Oh my god, lasers. A lot of them. I wasn't sure if that's going to do damage to me. I'm not betting. Okay. Like, the bosses so far haven't been hard, but it does feel like a boss, while it still keeps the main theme of like being a speedrunning game, basically. I think it's really cool. Ow. The cactuses are the real enemy here. Or the cacti, sorry. Cool. What's happening in this pigs and band phase here? Bracken open. Probably just play Cerberus again if I get the chance to. I'll complete the shard. Where is my mouse? There it is. Yeah, I'll just do Cerberus again. Let's do more of that. Kind of fits our comp anyway. Just some more beat forcing, potentially. Not gonna work on Odin. I imagine his 3 will just immune mild. Wait, what is that? Do we have side quests in this game? I was trying to stop. Now I'm dead. What is this? Maybe it's a shop. Oh, it's all the NPCs. Okay. I can now switch to another ability. Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna look at that after the game. What's Lost Tournament? Don't remember what the other was. Some small clips maybe. Much of it's my game, so I can't remember recall them all. Like to watch videos and stream to learn. It makes sense. I understand. Sunder. Is this gonna be Odin or Ares? Which one is it? Could be either of them. Both are my goats. It's not gonna be an easy lane either way. I should have tried Sands this game.
Minions have spawned.
Do not throw away your hair, fingernails, or teeth, because if you don't find them upon your death, you will regret it. One finger cannot remove lice from the head. One finger cannot remove lice from the head. Bye.
Bar. I think I'm okay. Surely. Eventually. Get me level 3 creeps. This is all on you. No, I'm dead. Well. Bad jump. Didn't get it in time.
An ally has been slain.
Probably do Genjis. That's bad. I should have just gotten my jump at level 2 instead. I didn't think he was going to be able to kill me. If I have to be honest with you.
Your right tower is under attack. Your left tower is under attack.
Okay, man.
You have been slain. It is okay.
Why is he there? What the fuck? That's so nasty. Well, I'm really fucked in my lane now. Time to just sit in my lane, or in my tower.
Your left tower is under attack.
Cerberus from behind is gonna be so bad. It was gonna happen eventually. I just cannot get pulled here. I'm not walking up, you can fuck off.
Your left tower is
Screw you. I ain't doing this.
an enemy has been slain.
I actually tried to jump it. I don't know if you guys saw that, but it still just pulled me down to the ground.
Middle tower
It cancelled my jump. It said, no, 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 no.
has been slain.
You ain't jumping on my watch. You're getting Ares ulted. That was some horse shit.
Your right tower is under attack.
Save yourself!
An ally has been slain.
Need healing.
Damn. Well, I guess I should have rotated to try and help. That fucking sucks, man. Well, I should have rotated, but I should have kept my jump. I'm just gonna sit in my lane.
Right tower is under attack.
I'm just gonna fucking sit in my lane now. Everything I've done this game so far has been a mistake.
Your left tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain.
The only good thing, though, well, not the only, one of the many good things I would say in this, though, is that we have Gunther and Aladdin, obviously very good. He'll be there for late game, and Asta as well on the bots. But I'm also into an Ares. Eventually, I will be tanky enough so that he won't really be able to do any damage to me. Presumably, depending on how far behind I keep falling. Yeah, on land I would have had that jump, that's true. I don't think I would have died regardless, even if bots didn't show up. I'm not too sure. I think it would have been close, but I still think I would have survived it. But obviously we wouldn't have killed him in return. I'm just gonna stop jumping. I think that's gonna be my main goal here. No more jumping randomly for no reason. That's kind of what's been killing me every single time. Except for the first one. That's 2 deaths.
Enemy missing middle. Enemy missing left.
An enemy has been slain.
Nice.
Oof. If our ADC is gonna 1v1 though, that's great.
I'll gank middle lane.
Love to see it.
Your middle tower is under attack.
I mean, I'm not even tanking to Odin. I'm just getting super shit on, man. That's crazy how much damage he does to me.
An enemy has been slain. Your left tower is under attack.
Sorry.
They have such a shitty comp for me to deal with. Because I have to look out for the chain.
Your left tower is under attack.
I'm just dead.
Your right tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain.
I'm just gonna go the long way. Screw it. I saw them rotate. I'm not falling for that.
Enemies in left lane.
Go away, Sav.
Ultimate
Fucking
is
cheese
ready.
stick.
Enemies incoming. Your team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
Bye.
On my way.
Wait, the enemy team has destroyed the gold here.
Ultimate down. No problem. Bye.
Completed. Retreat. No escape.
Be careful.
Ultimate is down. Okay.
Your left tower is under attack.
Enemies in the left jungle.
An enemy has been slain.
Probably just gonna have to leave my blue for this. If Odin's coming for it, but Bots isn't.
An enemy has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack. Your left tower is under attack.
Yes. Attack the right lane. That's too bad.
Your right tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain. The is a shame. Your middle tower is under attack.
Enemy missing left.
Your left tower is under attack.
Ultimate is down.
I could use a kill.
Enemy missing left. Be careful, right?
Killing spree.
he actually just... Damn, he caught my shit. That sucks.
Your right tower is under attack.
Cerberus, all this actual shit. They just... They're just immune. Dude, it sucks. It's so bad. They just channel Ares 3 and Odin 3, and they're both immune to my ult. Why would you do this, Iris?
Your left tower is under attack. Killing spree.
I didn't even think about it when I originally just picked it. But I also didn't expect to be against Ares. I would rather deal with Odin, I think, than Cerberus. Ares is just annoying as hell.
Your right tower is under attack.
I'm gonna keep picking up these rocks.
Your right tower is under attack.
Be careful. Ultimate is down.
Defend the Gold Fury.
Curses!
Your middle tower is under attack.
On my way.
Your right tower is under attack. An ally has been slain.
On my way.
An enemy has been slain. Slain an enemy. Unstoppable.
If only my 2 got back up in time. That sucks. Gotta get that cooldown.
The shadows take me.
Your middle tower is under attack.
I'm 2 levels behind now. I'm gonna have great cooldown once I finish Prid one at least. But my dude, I'm struggling with cooldowns right now.
Okay.
Defy! An enemy has been slain. Your right tower is under attack. Your right tower has been destroyed. Your left tower is under attack.
Just like everyone wanted. Ares is jumping people.
An ally
The shadows take me.
An ally has been slain. Your right tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain. Double kill. Immortal. Your middle tower is under attack. An ally has been slain.
It's not over.
An ally has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack.
Mm. Not really sure what to do about this, honestly. I'm just too far behind to do any damage.
Cancel that.
I had to get neat at least. It's not like I can't do anything. I'm still gonna go for Divine. I like it too much. Hello, Kami, good to see you, man.
Has destroyed the Pyromancer.
I've had some great games today, actually. This one is a bit rough. I've had Nika and Sav sitting on my butt a lot of this game. But I'm still having fun. I don't mind getting canned once in a while, because it's a good wake-up call for when you get too confident. I need those sometimes.
The shadows take me.
They might go fire here.
An enemy has been slain.
Good lad. Enemies at the fire giant.
Your middle tower is under attack.
And sucks.
Destroyed the fire giant.
Spy.
I tried to just get the immune. That was a good honor pillar. I wasn't planning on jumping in. I guess I just should have. I wanted to just immune and then also jump out. Immune, sunder, jump. I kind of forgot they had honor too. I'm not gonna lie. Because they had Neath, so my brain just went to her being the ADC.
One finger cannot.
Your middle tower is under attack.
I wouldn't say I like being camped, per se, but I do think it's necessary sometimes. And the only unfortunate part about the camping in this is that I don't have a choice of just... I can't really survive. Because I'm against Ares and Odin, and they can both immune my ult with normal abilities. No matter what, I'm dead.
It's not over.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower has been destroyed. Your middle tower is under attack.
Oh my god, the honor pillar just screwed me.
You have been slain. An enemy has been slain. Your middle phoenix has been destroyed. Your middle phoenix
I think it's a surrender angle. They're ending it there anyway.
is under attack.
I think we could have won this game, but it looks like we're getting out of chance.
Your titan is under attack.
I think we could have. I think the main issue with this and their team comp is that I'm Cerberus. And I'm just not that good into them. The only god I feel like I'm really, really good into is the Neath.
It's not over.
Fucking Aladdin skin is still glitched, man.
Your left tower.
It's so loud when he dies. No! Dude, I can't believe... Who got out? The on her. That was good, though. We just didn't go in.
Your left tower.
This is not over. And then the music playing.
Right tower is under attack.
Probably just go Nemean. I'm glad I went Divine, though. I actually feel like it makes such a big difference. Yeah, God was playing support in this one.
Your right tower is under attack.
We have Asta jungle. We're just in with Sav. You know, Sav's the GOAT. He's literally running this game. I never thought I was gonna see it in my life. Ares jumped over the wall. No one wants it, but it's here. Deal with it. Yeah, I think Sav is one of the best players there is currently in Smite 2. He's very good. Raid boss down. Of course. Of course. There was a Neath.
We will end this now. Beware the ship.
Oh,
Your right
good
tower
Billy.
is under attack. Your right tower has been destroyed.
Jump, Fenrir, jump. At least Honor is chasing. We might get a Phoenix for it.
Right Phoenix is under attack. I've slain countless enemies. You will be no different. I've
On my
slain
way.
countless enemies.
Enemies in left lane. Attack.
Overall, not bad. Still just chasing Fenrir for no reason. They could have gotten a Phoenix. Now we might be able to defend. Oh, huge. It's huge. My team's the best. I'll let it push actually by itself.
Enemies incoming. Ultimate is down.
Your team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
Oh, the stun on me there. So bad. I'm just dead. Once again, I'm dying because I'm trying to peel. Fuck me, man. Also didn't look that bad of a fight, to be honest.
The enemy team has destroyed the fire giant.
Curses!
Damn, the chain mid dash. It's crazy. Not the target you want.
The shadows take me.
Your middle phoenix
Damn it,
has been
man.
destroyed.
We had a legit chance. We just kind of threw it.
Your Titan is under attack.
I honestly didn't even hear that I can Ares ult it.
Your Titan is under attack. Your left tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain.
Get them, Cupid! Nice.
Killing spree.
Surprised we're still in this game.
Titan is under attack. Double kill.
Oh, ah, there it is. That sucks, man. Just felt like a team comp diff.
Defeat.
On my end, at least. I just couldn't fight into Ares Odin. It was fine once I finished those 3 items, but I think I should have not went Genji's. I should have gone Beats item, maybe. Or just stick to Mystical Mail, and hope that it would help more into the Odin than the Ares. But oh well. Can't win them all. I hope we get the same queue again, though. I want the same players in that. I hope it doesn't split like it always does. Yeah, I think it was a tricky frontline match in general. I don't think Fenrir was going to have a great time into that either, you know? They just had both walls and crippling on their 2 frontliners. And Odin was the jungler too, like it's... You can be way too tanky for no reason at the moment as a jungler. Excuse me. What time is it? I could do one more. Probably. 1 or 2 more. Depending on how long the next one is. What is this? You giving me quests or what? Oh, it's just stats. Interesting. What about you? Grappling hook. Okay. So yeah, these are just quests. Or goals. Oh. I can use things. Interesting. I mean, okay. So I need those, what are they called, like anti-sparks or something? To get permanent upgrades. Awesome. Yeah, I think the our support here, like he pretty much only plays Hades either way. So I think support is a fine role for him. I haven't seen him play anything else in a long time. He is good at it though. Yeah, this might be a nice queue. We're probably against Sav, I would imagine. If it's the same players from the last game. I mean, I'm such a one-trick in ADC. I'm just gonna pick that one god. I'm gonna play on her until Apollo comes, then I can play 2 gods. Yeah, he's the one who called. He was like E9 EM or something in the beginning, then he just changed to 9, and then now he's. I'm not sure what this is. Now he's SGR. He's been in my stream a few times as well. Or my stream chat. He's a good Hades. I like him. Well, he is also a stinky Hades player. There is that. You know? I can't fully like that, you know. But jokes aside, I have nothing against him. Yep, gonna be against Cerberus probably. It could be Mulan support as well though. Which I fear way more than Cerberus. I actually just think Mulan's support is just better than solo. I think Mulan at the moment though is just bad, but even Mulan in her best, I always thought she was such a scary support. I know I'm in game, I just need to find a good spot so I don't die instantly. There we go. That's good. It's definitely a beats game into Cerberus and Mulan. Oh, we have... Nice, man. We have Bari. Clean. Wait, what? Which part was blocked? Nasty? It was nasty.
Minions have spawned. Okay.
Please, no stuttering. Thank you. I do not need that on her. Impale is hard enough to hit.
I need the jungle buff.
Hold your voice. Excuse me, my mistake.
Yeah, we're just sitting back.
Enemies in the left jungle.
Enemy missing left.
Damn. Unfortunate timing on
Your left tower is under attack.
Thanos showing up there.
Enemy missing.
I mean, they're just constantly waiting as well.
Your left tower is under
In the bush, not really much to do, but just wait. And I feel like we just kind of heavily countered with a Hades support into Cerberus. Like, how are we gonna fight back? Our level 5 is pretty good though. I think that's why we have a chance to fight.
An enemy has been slain. Enemy
Enemy
spotted.
missing middle.
Attack. An enemy has been slain. Where the shifting sound. Your left
That's so annoying, man. I also don't know why we don't have Sunder. What does Hades have? He has speeds, man. At least play support if you want to play support.
Enemy missing middle.
Or if you don't, well, probably doesn't want to play support, but that just really sucks. Like Sunder or Shell, you don't need speeds on Hades anyway, and into their comp if you're building tank. Like, what the fuck are they gonna do against tank Hades?
enemy missing left.
Be careful, enemy missing.
Waiting patiently for the day that me and Neith are gonna be alone. Oh my god, this weird stuttering is so annoying. I should have the upper hand in this matchup.
Enemy ultimate down.
An ally has been slain.
careful.
Curses!
I know he likes playing Hades, but my god, he's really not helping our case right now.
On my way.
Now it's gonna be tough against Neath with this level difference.
Your middle tower is under attack. An ally has been slain. Beware the shifting sands. Your team has destroyed a right.
I don't think I'm getting my purple. I can't even check. If Thanos there and I die again, I can't play the game.
Your left tower is under attack. Enemy spotted.
Enemy missing middle.
Right, at least now I have some kind of fighting chance with Braggies.
Enemy spotted.
Yeah, Thanos was obviously there. Dude, Sav, can you fuck off? He camps my solo when I'm solo, and now he camps my purple when I'm fucking ADC. It's starting to get personal, Sav. I will remember this. The worst part is still the stuttering, though.
Beware the shifting sands.
On my way.
I had to try something. I just missed it all.
Free. Beware the shifting sands. You have been slain. Ultimate down. Double kill.
I'm also having this weird stuttering on this server. It happens a lot more than it did the last one. Let me check something, actually. No, it's not my ping.
That's a problem.
Your middle tower is under attack. The enemy team has destroyed the gold
Dude.
killing spree.
What is this fucking stuttering? It's starting to get to me. I can feel myself getting triggered by it. I need to just sit back until I have kins now. Do think I'll be able to fight as long as I have Bracky's kins.
Be careful, right. Goodbye.
We do seem to be winning hard on the right side though, which is obviously good.
Enemy missing middle. Goodbye.
An enemy has been slain. Shifting sands.
On my way. On my way. On my way.
Killing spree. Not today.
I mean he's just dead, right? At least we should get the... Oh.
Killing spree.
I mean, if we get both here, it's still worth it.
The Pyromancer has arrived.
That sucks. I really wish we had something else than a Hades support. At least if it's Hades support, build fucking tank, man.
Destroyed a middle enemy. Your right tower is under attack.
Just build tank.
Enemy missing middle.
I just stopped getting hit by the Neath one.
No, no, no.
It's very silly.
Attack.
Just what
I see Herox is getting his fill of him as well. Yeah, he's a dog. I do think Hades is being criminal at the moment, though. I'm not gonna lie to you. Don't solo my wave. Oh my god.
beware the shifting sand. An ally has been slain.
Enemy ultimate down.
Yeah, I mean, I can't do shit about that.
An enemy has been slain. Gank. Enemies in your lead. Attack. Your left tower is under attack. You have been slain. Not to okay.
Yes.
Your right tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain.
Thing of speed.
I just want to survive, man. Just in one of these fights. I should have beat the silence and jumped anyway. But am I right when I can't fucking see it. Did silence actually do 462 to me? And then followed by the scythe doing 500 and something, and it just one-shots me?
Help. No problem.
Was that seriously what happened there?
An ally has been slain.
That's too.
Unstoppable. Beware the shifting sand.
Surprise.
Beware the shifting sand.
I suck. I just suck. I didn't see Vulcan coming back. Give me a second, guys. I got something bothering the shit out of my nose.
Defend the Gold Fury.
Alright.
Your left tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack. Beware the shifting sand.
your voice. Hold your voice. That's too bad.
I mean, dude. Hades is watching! What are you doing, man?
Under attack. Your left tower has been destroyed. Your right tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain. Double kill. Killing spree. Your left tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain. Your right tower is under attack. An ally has been slain.
Please, just kill me again. That's
I
fucking.
mean, why is this guy in my fucking queue? Like, what? I mean, who is this fucking guy? Like, what? Why is he taking off my fucking farm? Like, when I fucking lose my man, and playing 1 game per week to get a fucking dog like this, like.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your left tower is under attack.
It's probably a surrender angle. My game is definitely over. Like, I can't even go to lane without Thana showing up. It's not even like he needs to be there.
Your middle tower is under attack. Yes, the enemy team has destroyed the Pyromancer. Your middle tower has been destroyed.
Like, I do know he tries to play the game. Like, dude, Neith is also being extra criminal. Like, holy fuck. He's just sitting around every fucking corner. I should expect it at this point, though. But everything in this game is starting to get to me. The small stuttering happening at really annoying times. Neith about around every corner. Thana always being here. Hades being a pain. Because I definitely could have dealt with Neith. I did fuck up the one time where she got me, though. That was just stupid. I'm being hit by too much shit. But a lot of it would have been so much easier if it wasn't because they were just fed from the get-go. Because we couldn't fight back in lane with the Hades.
On my way.
Yeah. I mean, 4 levels down. That should have been a kill realistically, but... yeah. He is hitting a lot, I will say that. Like, he's playing it very well. I'm just too far behind to really fight back now.
That's too bad.
Yeah, I mean, the stuttering is what pisses me off the most. Like, feeding sometimes, having a bad game, like, that shit happens, but the fact that it's stuttering, that's what really gets to me. When that happens at a bad moment, when it's already going as bad as it is, that grinds my gears.
Your left tower is under attack.
It's still happening. Stuttering. Toa, stop.
The Pyromancer has arrived. enemies at the Gold Fury. The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
Just get XE, I guess. Cerberus is just going ham on him. Like, ultimately, I don't care how people choose to like play their games, but I do think it's very silly playing it like this.
The enemy team has destroyed the Pyromancer.
Like,
Your
what's the
left
point of it?
tower has been destroyed. Your left tower is under attack.
You just actively ruin the experience for someone else. It just seems silly to me.
Your right tower is under attack.
I'm getting some decent farm at least.
The enemy team has destroyed the Fire Giant.
Did not expect this to be on fire though.
Enemies in right lane. Enemies in left lane. Your right tower is under attack. Your right tower has been destroyed.
Is his build? He's just building full damage. For some reason with a divine or an Ankh mixed into it. Okay, man. Just absolutely one-shot me as a result of animation not going off in time. It's a huge fight though.
Your middle tower is under attack. Triple kill! Killing spree. The pirate has arrived. Your middle tower is under attack.
Fucking bloodbound book. Was that massive? Dude, that's huge. Why was that such a big shield? That was a bit unfortunate. I don't think I should have died from that. I was ready to jump, it just got cancelled. Again. I'm not even sure what cancelled it. It must have been the Mulan knockup or something on the ult. Something definitely caught me. level 20.
The enemy team
I did
has
it.
destroyed the Gold Fury.
I hit the highest level possible in this game. Is it gonna matter? We will see.
Just what I needed.
My damage this game is gonna be like -5.
Enemy spotted! Enemy spotted.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Beware the shifting sands.
He's trying to predict where fucking Thanos was gonna jump. Damn it. I feel like I'm doing nothing in this fight.
Has been slain.
Need healing.
Double kill. Nice job.
Just one kill, boys. One kill. It's gonna happen soon, I'm sure.
Attack fire, giant.
Herrick's going off is so funny though. Do we not want to do Pyro?
Beware the shifting sands.
Your team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
I'm finishing this axe. Just to be slightly more tanky.
The enemy team has destroyed the Pyramid. Your middle tower has been destroyed. Your middle tower is
Am I inting a little bit? But no, also not. I have been inting twice of my deaths, I would say, this game. But no more.
Your team has destroyed a left enemy tower.
Enemies have returned to base.
Enemy ultimate down. An ally has been slain. An ally has been slain.
That's too bad.
Your right Phoenix is under attack. You have slain an enemy.
Surprise!
Your right Phoenix is under attack. You have been slain.
Oh, the silence, man. I'm so tired of Thana silence. That shit fucks me up. And we just went into instant 1-by-1 there. Fuck me, man.
Nice job.
I thought we could fight it too, so I went up a little bit to try to see if I could bait, and then I just get silenced, and this shit also just does what? No, actually it wasn't that much. But... my first kill, hell yeah. I did it. Could be a lot worse, could it?
Take this jungle buff.
All I'm good for this game is killing tanks. I can't deal with Thana at all. He just runs at me, he's gonna silence me before I get my Impale off, and that's it. If I'm lucky, I get my Impale off before he silences me, and that might buy me enough time just to survive. That's it. I hate this matchup for on her, because he also slow immune, so my 1 doesn't really help much either.
Enemies at the fire giant.
Just overall a bad time.
An enemy has been slain. On my way.
I do not have regen for this.
I will be right back.
Deathbringer online. Now I'm in a great spot. I still don't like these brute minions. I think they're way too tanky. I think it's fine if that's 1. When that's 3 of them, I think it's way too much. fucking Mantle of Discord. Piece of shit. Ooh. The baiting, the baiting. He's doing it. He's gaming. Holy shit. Look at him. He gamed the shit out of them. Oh. None of them might die for it though. Unfortunate.
Be careful.
Oh, that's huge.
Your middle Phoenix is under attack.
Fucking Vulcan, man. This is tough. I think that fight, it was a bit more excusable that I died again, because I had Thana and Mulan going after me there. And I knew he was trying to land on me too, hence me randomly running around, trying to juke it. I also keep getting Cerberus ulted. Which is kind of annoying. I like much more what Hades has now, because now he's kind of tanky. I can get some good setup ults. But the Divine run into Poly early game, it's kind of tough for us.
Beware the shifting sands. I will be right back. What do you say to death? Not today.
I need Oboe.
Enemy spotted. Enemy spotted. Beware the shifting sands. Killing spree. Attack fire giant.
We do have a sentry on us. On Gunter though.
Beware the shifting sands. Attack! Beware the shifting sands. It's a trap. Are you ready? Defend left lane.
Retreat completed.
Your left Phoenix is under attack.
I hate fighting as an ADC around Fajan Pit. I just feel like I can't get anything done. Dude, did Hades just leave left? God damn it. We need to defend the fucking lanes. What I will say though, this game is very nice in that, you know, it's close now that we've gotten to this point. But this game was kind of ass during the laning phase. At least I'm full build now. Yeah, I got 3 more kills.
Be right back.
I'm on a crazy killing spree.
Beware the shifting sands.
That did damage and it hurt. Aw, he should have just kept backing. If it didn't stop his back, Thana might have gone for it. Because he could see his low health, but not mine. I wasn't low enough. I was gonna be there. I just needed my jump. I was gonna jump his ass. Damn. Sucks they got the Warhorn right before I got there. Dude, this game is kind of... This is the closest game I've had in a long fucking time in Smite 2.
Attack. Your team has destroyed the Pyromancer. Beware the shifting sands. Double kill. Double kill. Beware the shifting sands.
Heart. My weird, average-sized, squishy heart cannot take this. We actually got a Phoenix, I didn't realize during all this. We won the exchange. Hell yeah. They have to defend now.
Beware the shifting sands. Enemy ultimate now.
Attack fire giant. Attack fire giant. Fire giant.
I jumped straight into Volcanol like a fucking idiot. I don't fucking believe it. If we lose this, I will take the blame. Because that was fucking stupid of me. I jumped because I thought Thana was gonna land there, and then they Volcanolted it.
Killing spree. Deicide.
There's no way, man. This has been at least this has been the worst game I've had today. I had a really good stream last stream, where I felt like I just mechanically felt really good. This is not. This is definitely not one of those games.
The Pyromancer has arrived. Your middle phoenix is under attack.
Nah, it's fine, Nectura. I think it's just time that like I'm getting hungry. I'm getting a bit tired. I think that's probably, if there is a realistic reason for it, that's probably it. Man, that team fight is on me. That's completely on me. Like, look how much damage I took this team fight. I literally jumped into the Volcanult and got executed on the spot. That's what I died to.
Defeat.
Right, I can do one last though. Thana ult did last way longer than I expected it to, every single time. I should have done more damage than this though. I just struggled. I really did. I do think, though, I will say, this game was much harder than it ever should have been during my laning phase because of what was happening with Hades. I don't want to fully blame him. I think we just had a bad matchup in lane as well. But if he built tanky, we would have been able to fight more back. Missed many ones. Yeah, I mean, I played like shit this game. I really did. Even though I was behind Neath, I shouldn't have gotten soloed twice. I should have just stayed back. Every time I tried to fight, I always fucked something up. I'll play mid though. I'll do a mid game. Nah, I missed Q. Yeah, well, this was a fast one. Cerberus ban? Why are we banning Cerberus, man? I mean, I don't care, I'm playing mid, but... Who the fuck bans Cerberus? I'm actually kind of getting a headache because I was so focused that game. If it wasn't because Saf was playing Thana that game, I don't think I would have been as stressed as I was. No, I really don't want to play EDC again. I don't like playing EDC in Smite 2. I'm alright with on her, I think, but I just don't like playing. I just don't like the lane, I think. I like playing the gods, just not the lane. The lane is so claustrophobic compared to Smite 1. Like, you can literally get ganked from anywhere in dual lane. It's the same with solo, but, you know. I guess it's because you're just closer to a tower in solo that it feels a bit more safe, but... And the fact that you generally play tanky characters.
Select your god.
Do I want to play Bari? Not really. I'll play Zeus. After that game, I can finally find inner peace. You definitely gave me a lot more stress. You probably took like 5 years of my life that game. Because I ended up being stuck in the mind game of it's Stana ulting me, and then dude, I hope no one saw what I did in the last team fight. I'm pretty sure I'm the reason we lost that game, in the end. Not throughout, but at least in that last team fight. So my panic ults, actually my ult was mainly for the Cerberus ults or like other things, like just waiting for me. But I think I panicked ult once for you, around Fire Giant. But mostly it was like just for the CC immune. Sold Mystical for Feather, damn. You know what won you the game actually? It's that I jumped into the Vulcan ult and then you straight up, excuse me, executed me as I landed. Because that's what happened. I jumped into the Vulcan ult and then you executed me. Because I was gonna jump your ult. You know what I fucking decided to do? I jumped on top of the Hades ultimate where you landed. Because I was thinking you were going to ult me. It wasn't so much panic ulting, it was always panic jumping. I literally just jumped into the fucking Vulcan ult. And instantly, I died so fast, my T screen didn't even show anything, man. I fucked up that last team fight. I actually thought I played really well in most of the team fights towards the end. But that one team fight cost us that game. And I just died like an absolute idiot, and it's on stream. That was not good. Yeah, I have VODs. I also have a YouTube channel. I guess I'll do a decent, or like a small... I think it probably is there. Exclamation point YouTube? YouTube? Probably doesn't work because my Streamlabs is probably down. Maybe that's the reason why. Yes, that is exactly why. It's because I'm not logged in Streamlabs. I do have a YouTube where I upload all my VODs. Because after 2 months they are removed on Twitch. So I do have a like an archive YouTube channel. Let's try this again. YouTube. No? Did I call it something else? Oh, actually, it's because CloudBot is offline. There we go. Now it should work. Finally. Let's see, commands, it is still there, yes. There it is. So if you want to watch like older VODs, I've pretty much put every. There's a few that are missing, and that's generally if like either it was corrupted, or it's because if I have a stream where I'm crashing a lot, I would have to edit all the small pieces together, and I just cannot be asked to do that shit. It would take so long to render if it's like a 6-hour stream. So usually those, it's more like if they're on, if nothing really happened in the stream anyway, I'm just, playing as usual. Then yeah, I don't really care too much about the VOD anyway. But for the most part, it is just a VOD channel. I just put on pretty much every stream that I've done since I came back to streaming, all the way back to season 11 of Smite. So you can even see the early alphas of Smite 2 as well, and the progression of the game. There's also a few clips of just, like, I guess good plays or
Select your god.
stuff like that. Usually just a good play that I did, that I decided to throw in. What do I play? What do I play? I'll do a Chuck game. I have not played a lot of Chuck lately. believe I uploaded my last VOD as well. Yeah, I did. So I'm not really uploading it for the views sake of it. It's also for myself, so that I have, I guess, footage of just all my VODs. I feel like the thought of the VODs being deleted after 2 months is just kind of sad to me. Even if this is just kind of a hobby that I do for fun, I would still like all my VODs to be somewhere. So I made that YouTube channel for that. Oh. Gonna cry when I missed once. It's even easier to hit as well, Nate. Just no pressure. It's so much easier to hit in Smite 2 than it was in Smite 1. So if you miss it, that makes you that much worse too. But don't think about that. Yeah, no need to think about that. Don't worry about it, Nate. Gonna miss eventually. Happens to the best. Don't you worry about it. I haven't played Chuck in a little while. I'm not sure what kind of build I want to go into their team comp. I could be an asshole and just go full on anti-attack speed Chuck. Because it wouldn't be that bad into the team comp. Helen wants to auto-attack, Fenrir wants to, obviously Kernos wants to. Hades kind of wants to as well. But to do that, I probably have to go for Spectral as well as that. What's that called again? Pharaohs? I don't really want to do that. Those items both are kind of not great at the moment. Well, Spectral is fine, but don't think I want to do Pharaohs on Juck. I'll just build the usual shit. I do need to do this start where I leave early. So I can get level 2 as well. I honestly just forget that this start is the way to do it. I forget.
Your left tower is under attack.
That's a bummer.
Enemy missing leg.
Enemy missing.
I missed my big auto. Like an idiot. And then I missed the wave. Sloppy
Your
Chuck.
right tower is under attack.
Of course. Today really just isn't my day, actually. Fucking Sunder, man.
Your left
Fucking Sunder. It's the one time this matchup is gonna be bad for me is this early, and I actually fucked it up.
Enemy missing middle. Right. Be right back. Save yourself.
No shorties.
Enemy missing left.
Not too far behind in XP, but still gonna be a big help. The hell is that?
Be right back. See ya. Mwah.
I'll wait until I finish my item before I fight back. Do not need a repeat of my last game, where I think I'm able to fight, but I'm just not because I'm behind.
Enemies have returned to base.
Not again. I just need to finish the items needed to fight. Like, he's not gonna start Mystical Mail, but I am, meaning I should have the advantage in a skirmish this early. So I shouldn't fight until then, which is luckily pretty soon. Just waiting for my TP to come back.
Be careful, middle.
Alright. Let's finish it.
Yeah!
Though I can't really do it now. Dude, Pele healing is crazy. I'm also not really doing any damage at this point in time still.
Your right tower is under attack.
That's a lot of healing. I'll do Tegukaki.
Enemy ultimate down! Gang! Okay. Enemy ultimate down!
How's Smite 2 feeling? I think it feels good. Overall, I think Smite 2 feels very good. I think the main problem is they have issues figuring out what meta they want to play around with. And it swaps very, very rapidly. And aggressively, and like what's good, what's not good type thing. Like right now, the majority of at least high-level players agree that they don't like the current meta. I should have been typing that.
Behind us. Ultimate is ready.
Killing spree.
Even
Incoming middle.
In the jungle.
I'll defend on my way.
Any rocks? No, no rocks. Oh, well.
Ultimate is down.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Overall, I think the majority of characters feel better than they did in Smite 1. It's pretty much the best compliment I can give it. But I'm not very satisfied with the metas, and the last few patches have been not great. They haven't made the game better. Kind of just feels like it's been a bit worse in terms of just overall balancing, as well as like new additions and mechanics. Like they just added a new mechanic in this patch that came out yesterday that I'm not a huge fan of. And I think that thought is shared by a lot of the higher level players as well.
The Pyroman. Shut down. Your right tower is under attack.
Okay.
Enemy missing left.
What else am I looking at? Probably just going to a Pred one next.
Ultimate is ready. Gank middle lane.
I'll be trying a different build in this one. I don't want to go full tank chuck.
Enemy missing.
I'll gank right lane. On my way.
On my way.
An ally has been slain.
Have an ambush here.
I mean, he's just walking further down, so...
An enemy has been slain.
I'll defend the right lane. I'll defend the right lane. On my way. I'll defend the right lane. Enemy spotted.
Double kill.
Turn around and kill him! Turn around and kill him! Oh.
Triple kill.
Damn. Just Hades damage. He is building full damage again, so they won't have it like an actual tank. That's not true, never mind. He's mid now, so yeah, never mind. Let's not support this time. Yeah, they found out Kali coming up soon, which does to my jungling skills, does some big hang up. The Ghost Breeze weren't many of them. Yeah, kind of same for me in the beginning. If it wasn't because I enjoyed Mordred as much as I did, I don't think I would have had a god, like a go-to god for me.
Tower is under attack.
That would definitely have diminished a lot of my enjoyment for the game.
Ultimate is down.
And Modric is really good now too. They kind of just made him like perfected him. And how he is now, arguably a bit too strong, but with how his kit works and how it feels, I think it's in the best state he's been in.
Enemy missing middle. Until we meet among the stars.
Enemy missing.
Ward the gold.
To rock max a bit more. That sucks. I didn't realize he had Sunder too. I'm glad I didn't Sunder then.
Rampage! Your right tower is under attack.
Nate's getting real fed on that Cerberus.
Your left tower is under attack. Enemy missing left. Your middle tower is under attack.
That gold's done.
Your right tower is under attack. The enemy team has destroyed the gold fury.
I'll just back and TP mid, I guess.
An ally has been slain. Shut down.
Huge. The lazy back.
Ultimate is down.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Ultimate is down. Ultimate is down.
Okay.
Enemy missing left. Enemies have returned to base.
Okay. Be careful left. Enemies right lane. Have a blast. Have a blast.
Let's see if I can steal blue.
Enemy missing middle. Until we meet among the stars.
Help right lane.
Have a blast. Have a blast.
An ally has been slain. Your right tower is under attack. Killing spree.
Ultimate is ready.
Do cooldowns and stuns and everything. Oh my fucking god, man.
An ally has been slain. Your right tower is under attack.
You're a lunatic.
Your left tower is under attack. Your left tower has
I don't know what to build this game now.
been destroyed.
I kind of fucked up there. I don't think we really should have gone in. I didn't. I don't know. Like, we have Artemis support.
Your left tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
Do I just go Nemean straight away? Probably.
Have a blast.
I think you level the. No, you go one.
Your middle tower.
I would say 1, 4, 2, 3, but sometimes leveling 2 over 4 is better. It depends on the matchup as well, and how much you really need your ult.
Be careful.
But having your 1 and your 2 maxed out as soon as possible, I think is best, because those are your main abilities that you want to keep spamming.
Your middle tower is under attack.
On my way.
An ally has been slain.
Could have been really big.
Your right tower is under attack. An ally has been slain.
Could have been really big. Just someone is always dead before we really get there, and I don't know why we have Artemis support. This is the second game in a row now that I just have a weird support that we just can't fight back with as easily.
Your right Phoenix is under attack. Your middle Phoenix is under attack. Killing spree. Killing spree.
Damn it.
Lunatic. Enemy missing.
Don't really want to be taking the dual lane waves here. Just nothing else to take.
Okay.
Mordred does win most matchups, but there are some matchups he does struggle with. Like, he can definitely struggle into something like a Bracken. Hades can also be somewhat tough for him, depending on how good the Hades is.
Tower is under attack.
So there's definitely still some matchups that he struggles into.
Double kill. Double kill. Shut down. Shut down.
Man, I could really use some kills. That would have been nice. I have 8 fucking assists as a solo laner. I have the most assists on my team.
Enemy spotted.
On my way. I will war.
I'm not sure what to do here. Well, I guess we just need farm.
Enemy ultimate down.
Nice job. Fire giant.
Let me press buttons! Oh my god, man. How much CC is in this fucking game? That's actually insane. Literally as if... well, I wouldn't say full tank. As almost full tank, level 20 Chuck, I would died from 100% to 0 without being able to use a single button. Because I was just CC'd. Smite is so stupid sometimes. Also, what happened with Nika? Did his stream crash as well? Or is it just this game? Alright, just this game. Okay. They do have an insane comp for CCing though, I will say. Might have to think about maybe going for a Purification Talisman, but... I don't know. Chuck is just not good. Full tank Chuck is ass.
An enemy has returned.
And building damage just feels way less impactful at the moment. Maybe I do a Void Shield. Maybe I'll do Serrated. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking out loud, guys.
I will war.
Maybe Oathsworn, actually. I don't know. Suppose I'll see
An
when
enemy
I
has
get
left
to it.
the game.
I'm on it.
Let's pause for them. Don't want to lose. Or rather, I don't want to win by DC. I'd rather play a game out and then end up losing it. As long as it's on fair terms. Yeah, no worries, Nate. I'm not here to win, I'm here to have fun. Winning against DC is just not fun. Or even losing, that's even worse. Definitely don't want to lose. Alright, we'll just let it go out, I guess. Make sure he's back.
On my way.
Ultimate down.
The enemy team has destroyed the fire. An ally has been slain.
wonder what's happening with it. And why is DCing?
Your middle Phoenix is under attack. Gank! You have slain an enemy. Your middle Phoenix is an enemy has been slain.
No, man.
An enemy has returned.
Chase, they're cutting us. He's the problem.
Double kill.
Nice.
Double kill. Killing spree.
Damn, he still just really hurts me. He's the only one that hit me that whole fight. I was just trying to keep my distance. He does have crit, right? He does. Dude, I said it. I guess I have to go Spectral. I said I didn't want it. It's a must. I do feel like I probably would have lost that fight overall, though, if they had Pele here. Wait, I got a kill? Who did I get a kill on? Wild. I did it. I got Hades? Okay. That's great. I don't know how, but that's great. Here's the only target my ult didn't hit.
Sorry.
All is well in the cosmos.
Ultimate is ready. On my way.
Ah, I got baited.
Retreat.
I played that overall bad, but I also got baited because I saw the lethal. I was like, am I going for this? I guess so. I guess I'm going for this. Damn. Huge counter damage.
Your left tower is under attack.
Because I don't actually want to go for Hades. I don't have enough magic protection to be fighting him at all. The only one I want to sit on is the Cardinals. I'm literally building into him. Going for Hades is stupid. He's gonna fuck me up so hard. He's all alone at 900.
Okay.
Damn it, man. My one was down because I wanted to be safe.
An enemy has left the game.
No, man. Damn, my vibes for this game is it's so over. is what it is. It feels really bad though. I can't get any satisfaction out of this. Still have the Kulkan ult on Gunter. I think we should be able to secure this. Bit rough last few games today, but I've had fun regardless.
Your team has destroyed the fire tower.
And I just don't know what to build into their comp they have. Maybe just do shifters last. Just stay hybrid. Ultimately, I don't mind if they're wasting Hades ult on me, because I think I'm the least important member on this team at the moment.
Your team has destroyed a
Maybe tied with Artemis. But no, probably even not even.
Your team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
On my way.
Your left tower is under attack. Your left tower has been destroyed.
Help!
That's a bummer. I'll defend right lane.
Attack middle lane.
I'll attack. Left lane.
Destroyed a middle enemy tower.
I'm alive.
Your right Phoenix is under attack. I'll defend. Right back. Your right Phoenix is under attack. Your team destroyed the middle enemy Phoenix. Killing spree.
I mean, I assume Nika's just not able to play the game.
Slain an enemy.
That sucks, man. Not really any satisfaction out of that game. I played like ass for the majority of it. I mean, I guess I played alright. I just had a hard time doing much as like a hybrid chuck this game. Bit of a downer to end on, but Yeah, that sucks. Not really much else I can say about it. Depressing game to end on, but nevertheless, I appreciate you guys stopping by as usual. I'm gonna dip.